Hello, everyone, and welcome to Aftersight. I am Penn Street, your host. Today, I want to welcome a guest, Trevor Hahn. And Trevor is a blind activist, an artist, and an outdoor enthusiast. Trevor's adventures have taken him all around the world, but his biggest adventure might be what has happened recently, where Trevor became a new dad. So, welcome to the program, Trevor. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, thank you. This is so rad to be here.
So, what have you been doing to keep busy lately?
Well, being a new dad, she's going to turn, her name's Trevoy, and she's turning 8 months next week. So basically I've been just, enjoying time with her and also focusing on some art and then doing a bunch of ice climbing because it's winter. So right now focusing on ice climbing and trying to learn that.
How long have you been ice climbing?
So I started last year and I went once last year, and then now I'm starting to do more and more of it because it gives me a chance to, it's really cool as far as if you don't have sight, you can feel all the edges, everything of the ice as you're going up it, and it almost feels like seashells and just you hear just the pick tap into the ice, and you can hear it's just very serene
Wow.
kind of feeling there because you can hear all these like sounds like it's really cool.
Wow. How did you even get interested in that? Or is that something you've wanted to do a long time? Or
so I got interested because I was a rock climber and I needed something. I started rock climbing like 4 years ago. Well, I was a rock climber before losing my sight, but then I got back into it, and I needed something in the winter that was kind of slow paced, that was vertical, going up vertical, and where I could just just get peace in the mountains and everything, but not fast paced, just kind of just be there with my thoughts and everything. So I just saw someone ice climbing, I knew about ice climbing for a long time, but just decided to try it out, and it's really been a good fit because there's a real art to it as well. So all these things in the outdoors that they still have very artistic feeling to me.
yeah, and talking about art, you talk about in some of the articles that I was reading about you, art through touch, and it definitely parallels with what you're doing either on the ice or on the rock faces. Can you share a little bit more about when did you know you were going to be an artist, or how did you get excited to become an artist?
So I was an artist. My grandfather got me into visual art as a child, and my dad was an artist, and so I started going over doing drawings at my grandfather's house, and he was a commercial artist, and so that basically got me into visual art. And basically I could see until maybe like, I don't know, 8 years ago. Like I could see where I could actually do visual art more until like 8 years ago. And so I went into graphic design, and started working for a brewery called the Fort Collins Brewery. And then, so I did all of these labels, all of this graphic arts for them. And then I lost my sight. And so I kind of didn't know where to go from there. So there was this fundraiser for the Museum of Art in Fort Collins, Colorado, and you create a mask. It's artists from, a whole bunch of, it's like 200 artists creating a mask, and then people bid on them. And so I was like, oh, well, this might be my coming out. Like it was sculpture. So I started to do it. So I, did my first mask and attached a whole bunch of metal to it and kind of things I could feel. But the thing that got me thinking about sculpture, even before that mask, was rock climbing, because my first rock climbing after losing my sight, I was going up the rock face and just feeling everything. I was like, oh, this is, I could probably just create cool things like this, or, it was just sculpture. The rock was the sculpture.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, basically I just decided, hey, maybe I should go into sculpture. So that's what I do now is art through touch. Is I mainly use recycled metal, from the trash, and upcycle things and create kind of whimsical creatures out of metal and, do that. So, because I just don't like to throw away things, and yeah, just, it's a good way to, and because, I know what kind of things look like already, because I was sighted. I was, so I know what, different animals look like or whatever. So I can kind of, and proportions and things. So that helped me out a lot. So yeah, sculpture just fits.
So that's neat how you took what you were experiencing in nature, and that inspired you to get into sculptures. And I've experienced some of your art, and one of the things that's really, really cool to me is that I could touch the art, because so many times when you go to art shows, things like that, it's like one dimensional, so you couldn't feel it anyway, and or they don't want you touching it. And so you've always been super inviting to people to touch your art so they get the full experience of it.
Yeah, that's right on. And yeah, I hope to in the future do some more like I want to get into wood as well. So I want to carve wood so that people can. Some of the metal ones, you gotta kind of be careful. There might be a jagged part or something, but if I do wood, I can really make it kind of really smooth and everything, that it would be safe. And eventually I would love to, have an art show that it's all touch, so.
You could blindfold everybody. I think that'd be cool. Yeah. Make sure you invite me. I'll hand out the blindfolds.
Because I want everyone to experience what, I experienced, or, other people that don't have sight experience. So, just kind of how you can actually, without sight, I noticed on rocks, climbing rocks, it's actually, you can see more without sight than you can with sight. So, basically some of these little things you step on, it might not look like much, but when you feel it, it's like a lot. So, and I've noticed, every clinic I've taken or whatever, my instructor is like, I try to, now that you've showed me this, I try to close my eyes and see what it's like. So, because there's a lot more you actually see without sight on a rock. So
Exactly. I totally agree. I used to do a lot of rock climbing and it was the same thing is you only focus on what you're feeling, where people who are trying to use their eyes, they're like looking all over the place. They're not, it's not tactile for them, right? They're using
yeah,
their eyes and they often miss, a place that they can step or pull up on or even rest on.
yeah, exactly. So
Yeah. So Trevor, you have had so many adventures, and where has been some of the like maybe the top place you've ever been and why?
uh, so my top was Nepal. I went to climb, or so we I went. That was my first big adventure after I couldn't see anymore. So my vision was kind of slowly going, but that was the time when I couldn't actually get around myself without help and things.
Mm.
And so that was in 2018, and went to Nepal and with a group of people, and went and helped out at a center for disabled children's assistance. And so took a whole bunch of supplies over to them, and played with the kids and everything. And I also had gotten into music a little bit because I was kind of experimenting with my other senses.
Yeah.
So I started to play harmonica, and so I brought up I had a whole bunch of harmonicas donated and brought them over to like 40 to 50 kids. And then after that we helped out with them. They gave there were some people that giving them medical attention and all kinds of things. And then after that we climbed to 17,000
Wow.
17,700 and I think 75 feet, so
Wow.
somewhere around there. So it was, yeah, it was really cool. So it was, so we climbed up the Kumba Valley, and we were on the Everest base camp trail for a while, and then cut off of it and went up to this like kind of high point in the valley or whatever, and there were a number of 8,000-meter peaks, like around,
Oh,
including
wow.
Mount Everest was in the background, and there were some other uh, eight high peaks around, and it was just really, really, really empowering to be able to do that after. And so, yeah, it was just I pretty much looked on and didn't look on a map, but I knew it was pretty much halfway around the world, and I was like,
Wow.
wow, I'm on the other side of the world right now.
Exactly.
So, yeah, and I went into this not knowing anyone, just totally outside of my comfort zone. I had I didn't know anyone on the group, had never met anyone
Wow.
before, and then my family just stayed here, and so basically I never went through the airport with no vision before, never any of this, and just met up with people. So so
That's
it was pretty, yeah, it was basically my kickoff to just doing cool things. So
Yeah, I think that it's one of the things that kind of brought me to, considering you one of my friends, is you do inspire me and you don't let your vision loss, you know, keep you from doing the things that you love and or exploring new things. And I know, Trevor, it's for like many of us, it's a roller coaster, losing your vision over a long period of time. And when did, can you kind of take us to that moment where you knew you weren't going to get your vision back, and how that felt?
Yeah. So I was born with pretty much bad vision. Like I had very nearsightedness, and but it could be corrected, and but with like huge, like you know, just basically really thick glasses and everything. So I was teased a lot and all that, everything you do in school. But yeah, so that started, my like from 3 years old, I was wearing thick glasses, and basically that was the start of it. And so I didn't have much peripheral, so I wasn't really into sport. I couldn't do sports too well, and base and any of that. So I just focused on kind of drawing and doing that kind of stuff, and then I would escape with my family or whatever to nature and to art. Basically, art and nature were my things to escape to, and if I was teased or bullied or whatever.
Yeah.
And then so basically through it, I through high school I could drive a car and everything, and then this other thing started happening where I started getting what's called uveitis in my eyes, and no one knew what it was caused from, and so it would cloud up my eyes, and my eyes would just start to get really painful. And so I went, all these tests and everything, and no one knew about this at the time, but I was finally diagnosed with ankylosing spondylitis, which is a genetic disease that affects your back, your spine. And so it causes inflammation to different parts of your body, and it attacked my eyes because they were obviously the weakest. And so basically I dealt with this, and then they diagnosed it, but there wasn't really a lot of knowing of treatment at the time. So I was on heavy steroids and things like that. And eventually I think the steroids caused me to get glaucoma. So glaucoma started, and then, it basically, my vision was starting to go downhill, like glare was a big issue and everything. And so I had some surgeries done, and they didn't really kind of work. And a vitrectomy I had done to kind of do that. And then my pressure really skyrocketed after that, and basically damaged my optic nerve. So now I can only see light. And so that was in like 2014 is when it really started to go downhill for, my vision just started going. And I was like, man, what am I going to do? Because opportunities started to drop off, and, like basically a lot of my outdoor, opportunities with people started to, drop off because we didn't know what to do, and no one knew how to help me or anything. So, so then, I kind of just was like sitting in this like void of, what the heck. And, fell into depression, at kind of there. And then, basically got into, so No Barriers USA, I found them, and went to one of the summits, and that's where I first started rock climbing, and that's kind of what got me out of in 2016, got me out of my depression, because I did rock climbing, and it was and so then that's where I realized that I could do art again, and because that on that rock climb is where I saw the sculptural features of the rock and had a vision of
Wow.
doing sculpture.
So it kind of came full circle back to you. You
Yeah,
found it's almost like you found your vision after you lost your sight when
yeah,
you started rock climbing. That's really,
you
really
know,
cool.
yeah, and actually, not these things that I'm doing now. I actually would have never done with vision.
Mm.
So it's like I would have. I mean, I would have been like, I would have never actually probably went to Nepal without losing my sight because, I was like, I wanted to do something bigger than I thought I could do with vision. So,
Yeah.
or, you know,
And you sure have, Trevor. All the things you've done and even plan to do. So that's amazing.
you know,
So what are your plans? Do you have anything big planned for this year?
um, yeah, I'm going to continue rock climbing. And, so in September, I did some more training for climbing, and September uh, last September I climbed Devil's Tower in Wyoming.
Mm.
So it's a multi-pitch climb that's I think 600 feet about. So
Wow.
600. I mean, and and did that in like 4 hours, but. So I want to do some more, kind of these towers that are, you go up kind of 100 feet about, and then you have to pull your rope up, and then you do it
Yeah.
again, and
Yep.
go up another 100 feet or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I really like getting way up there because it gives me a more sense of where I'm at.
Yeah.
So when you're just doing a kind of a thing from the ground a little bit, 60 feet up or whatever, it doesn't give me as much feeling or what they call exposure,
Yeah.
so exposure to the elements.
Yeah.
And so I want to do more of these multi-pitch type things where I'm way up there and, just able to feel more like, because I want to experience cool things.
Yeah.
So I want to like do something different, that I can, experience some cool things without sight.
Yeah.
Rather than sight. But, and,
That's
when you're way there, you can hear a river down below or whatever, it's so cool to be way, way up there.
yeah.
And so I want to climb some things in Utah maybe this year, some more towers.
That's great.
And,
Well,
you'll
have to keep me posted.
Yeah, definitely. And then snowboarding. So I still have a bunch of snowboarding I'm doing this year. So I do
great.
snowboarding as well.
you are all over the place, no matter what time of year it is.
Yeah.
Well, Trevor, how can people find you? And for those who can see, how can they see your work?
So I have a Facebook page, and it's Trevor Hahn's Art Through Touch. So my last name is Hahns. So
okay. And for all of those who weren't able to jot that down really quick, we'll definitely have that information in the podcast notes with the hot links, so you can go directly to check out what Trevor's doing. So, Trevor, is there anything you want to leave the audience with?
If anything is possible. I mean, I need a lot of help with these outdoor things, and I even need help with some of my art sometimes. So, but just don't ever hesitate to ask for help from people. And that's, basically you can accomplish anything, if you have the right people surrounding you and the right attitude, and just be happy for what you're doing.
Yeah. That's wonderful advice. I definitely will take that to heart as well. Well, Trevor, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your story and inspiring all of us to be better out there and to not give up and to keep, following our dreams. So the audience, thank you so much for joining us today, and thank you for supporting Aftersight. We are now throughout the world. We have listeners as far away as Russia, actually, right now. So welcome, everybody. And remember, there is life after sight.